You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
But I actually sort of find myself thinking, let's roll the computers back in, turn those machines back on. That's a Trading Places quote. I'm not so sure I'm not missing the BCS era, just with a bigger playoff field. That's all we really were missing maybe at that time.
Yeah, and you're kind of referencing Florida State in 2023 with Jordan Travis. The benefit you probably have here is that was the last year of just the 4-team field. I think with the field being expanded, I think you would, in any other year, Florida State absolutely would have been in.
Sure, but it's in relation to him talking about, well, here's what's keeping them out of the top 4 or 5.
And you're right.
The offense. Well, what is – oh, sorry.
Yeah, and that's fair. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
So I did not like cutting off the rest of the team at the knees, because I think you should always have an opportunity to maybe overcome a setback.
Except for in college football.
Oh, yeah.
when they sit in the Metroplex in a fancy hotel with their bagel station and their all the different
bagel station.
Yeah, that's remember when that was like a thing where bagels like a snack or a meal or whatever, that whole NCAA thing. Yeah, anyway,
simpler time.
Exactly. Yes.
When it comes to the playoffs, I wanted to run something else by you, Chris. I'm wondering if you were noticing sort of the conversation as it shifts this time of year for some head coaches, and maybe some playoff odds are getting long in their particular locale, and they're starting to have to sort of rev up the fans to be proud of a guaranteedrate.com bowl appearance. All right, that's not too bad either. And one of these examples was here and getting discussed this week, courtesy of an SEC head coach, this one from Columbia, Missouri, saying, quote, "We got to get out of this. Oh, man, it's playoffs or bust. If the season only counts for 12 football teams and we got 127 D1 teams, that math's not going to math very well. There's a whole heck of a lot to be proud of." That's a man who thinks he's making a profound point, but definitely isn't. Chris, I'm going to go ahead and side on the case-by-case approach to this. Look, maybe in Columbia, Missouri, you need to get them pumped up about the Poinsettia Bowl. But that's not the case everywhere. And sorry, this is the way competition works. I know we're emerging from a sentimental bowl system, but this is just the way it goes. And if you're using it against a playoff argument or as some con to the system, I got beef with it.
Yeah, well, this is how I get what Drinkowitz is saying. Okay, Eli Drinkowitz, the head coach at Missouri, because his starting quarterback is out for the year. They were in the mix, and now they're not going to be, and all that. This is largely how college basketball coaches have to process their season sometimes, because you can have a monster year and you get bounced, and it's like, so we don't get to feel good about a conference championship. We don't get to feel good about a really good year, because it's like it's all based on the term. I get it. And that's kind of what's happening in college football now that you've got a playoff that's a bit expanded. I think he kind of commented that the math is a bit tricky. And again, there's limited spots, and he's in a league where it is the plate is widened for that league. They're going to get more teams in than most leagues. And whether we agree with that or not, that's just the reality of it. And maybe if you're Missouri's head coach, you don't want to, like if you're Bama or Georgia, it probably is playoff or bust. And in some cases they're national championship or bust, really.
Yeah.
And it's a bit tricky, because I think if I was him, I probably wouldn't have said that aloud. I get where he's coming from. Because you have to find joy in what you're doing, and it can't just be all or nothing, or the whole thing sucks for you personally. And he probably should have just said that to the missus or his own administration privately or something. I don't know, but I get what he's saying. But you're at a job and in a conference where you've got some advantages that most don't. And I'm sorry your quarterback got hurt, but and maybe the Missouri fan base will go, "Hey man, yeah, we're building this thing. We're you've kind of turned this thing around, and we're not there yet to where we're going to be pissed off if we don't make it to the playoff or whatever." But interesting thing to say aloud. But this is largely how college basketball coaches have to process their seasons sometimes, and I certainly get where he's coming from. And this has now entered the equation because of an expanded playoff. Previously, you would have never heard anybody really say it's this or not when there was only 2 spots or 4 spots. But now that there's 12 and there's rumors of maybe even growing there, and he's in that league, it does make you look at it differently. But again, maybe keep that in your holster there and not say it aloud to everybody.
Yeah, think twice about it. Don't hit send, or do if you're just flailing for anything and grasping for straws.
Right.
They're in Columbia, Missouri. And yeah, we wouldn't say anything about it previously because there's only 2 damn spots.
I know.
What's the use in even talking about it? It was over for everybody before it even began. Oh, let's get on to exhibition season, known as the postseason. It's case by case in all situations. Basketball as well. Look, some of you are looking to get in. Some of you are looking to get past the first weekend. Some are national title, Final Four, or bust. Some are in between. I remember wanting to throw a parade when Tubby Smith just got us back in the bracket. Just the name in the bracket, Chris, once upon a time, felt fantastic. Things change, however, and for the better, obviously, if you're advancing beyond that. But I do think it's definitely something that I look at from a competition standpoint and would just say it's also really, really difficult to look at a better way to find out truly for such a massive number. The number that he's actually throwing out there, I guess he thinks in favor of his argument, to me actually makes the argument otherwise, in that you really have got to do better than what you did for about 100 plus years when it comes to trying to decide a national champion through such a wide and diverse field of competitors. And we are eking our way towards doing that in a much, much better way, in my opinion. But I don't know, man. I think I would have probably kept that to myself. And it's something that's also tricky when you're thinking about coaching people up on what to be proud on. You ever taken any advice actually on what to be proud on? It kind of just comes naturally. I think you decide for yourself.
Yeah.
First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app. So before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked on College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets
I was about
at the
to
lowest
say
price.
that's to each his own, because it's like to localize this thing. It's like our conversations back in the summertime. Would you have been happy with a 9-3? Would you be happy with a 10-2? And some of these scenarios are still on the table for you, even though people are kind of starting to dare to dream a little bit here.
Yeah, Chris, can I put it to you this way? Because this is how I wanted to wrap. Like, playoffs or bust, Arlington or bust. I think one is a yes, the other is not that way for a Texas Tech fan. It's all about the Big 12 title game, right?
And that's what it always was about. I mean, I know others maybe viewed it differently, but internally it was always Arlington or bust, because this was the ticket you had never punched before. And I think one leads to the other, right? Yeah. So we're clear. And you maybe have played your way into a scenario to where, Arlington, if you just make it to Arlington, regardless of the result, there may be still a spot for you. I just don't know if anybody wants to I want to be selfish, and I'd like to see Joey hold up a trophy in Arlington personally. But you got to get there first, and all those things. But the way these rankings have played out, I mean, and there's going to be some other chaos that happens. You just don't need to be a part of it. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. And we'll get to this UCF game here in a second. But I think that it was always all about Arlington. That was the point. What did James Blanchard, in that one article about the defensive line that you invested in and everything like that, and he said there was a line in there in that story that he said something to the effect of, the Big 12 is not equipped to handle this. It's all about your league and handling your league and winning your league and all that, because if you do that, it takes you to other places. And that's the same thing that Grant's dealing with on the basketball side. If you can contend for a conference championship in the Big 12 conference and on the basketball side, you're going to get opportunities in the NCAA tournament. And if you're weathered and you can handle it, and you're tough enough to withstand the conference gauntlet as the Big 12, then you can damn sure handle what the NCAA tournament will dole out to you. And I think that for football, it was all about Arlington, and you're not quite there. You're not quite there yet.
No, you are not. Somebody trying to bait me into using the word locked up this week when it comes to a conference championship game appearance. I refused. And in part, it's because of what's coming to town and then where you've got to go when you leave town. Final 2 weeks of this regular season, Chris. Before we get out of here, I wanted to take a listen to UCF head coach Scott Frost talking about a message to the team this week. And I think there's some low-hanging fruit for any coach that would happen to be facing the Red Raiders on the other side of the weekend.